Good morning. I'm honored to have the opportunity to introduce Nate Gibeley, class of 2014. On a personal note, Nate and I have a deep connection. Once he began at Brooks, we discovered that my dad and his grandfather coached high school football together in Salem, Massachusetts in the 1960s and 1970s. My son Andrew was in Nate's class at Brooks, and they were both wrestling captains and New England champs. Together, they led the team to the only New England wrestling team title in Brooks school history. His younger brother, Will, was in the same class as my son, Nick, and they remain good friends to this day. As a result of all of this, my wife, Sheila, and I have become good friends with Nate's parents, Mark and Marnie Gibeley. I don't believe that there's another Brooks family that has contributed more to military service than the Gibeley family. Nate's father is a 1987 graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy and served on the aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln as an officer. His older brother, Ryan, Brooks class of 2011, attended West Point and graduated in 2015. He is now a professor of military science at West Point. His younger brother, Will, Brooks class of 2017, in Dartmouth 21, is an Army infantry officer in the California National Guard. As I mentioned, Nate is a Brooks grad, class of 2014. During his time at Brooks, Nate was a member of the football, wrestling, and crew teams. I was fortunate enough to coach him in both football and wrestling. In wrestling, he was super talented. He had an amazing combination of strength, conditioning, and technique. In wrestling terms, he was a hammer. In his senior year, he was a New England champ and a high school prep All-American. Nate went on to the Naval Academy, where he rode crew. He graduated from the academy in 2018. After some of the most challenging training in the world, Nate received his Trident and became a Navy SEAL. In Bud's training, he set several records in both stamina and strength, including a 365-pound clean and jerk and 38 dead hang pull-ups. That's all the way down. He joined SEAL Team 8 and later joined SEAL Team 2. He deployed several times in combat zones in service to our country. Nate completed his Navy service last year and enrolled in an MBA program at the University of Chicago Booth School of Business. He will graduate this spring with a master's in business administration. Please join me in welcoming Nate Gibeley.
All right. Good morning, fellow Brooks community. If there's one thing I want you to remember today, it is to be someone special. If you don't take anything away from me today, I apologize for not connecting with each and every one of you. But that's the one thing I'd like you all to remember, as well as the words, fortune favors the bold, and character is destiny. I've never been a person for public speaking, so bear with me. And I remember we all used to read off a script here on the podium, so that is exactly what I'm going to do today. In fact, for many years, public speaking was my biggest, most unbearable, and irrational fear, more so than jumping out of a plane at night by myself from over 10,000 feet and barely seeing my parachute malfunctioning and not opening. So it was worse than the fear of death. But one thing this awful, twisting pain in my gut showed me is that any human has the capacity to overcome anything. But you can be the judge of me today, and we'll see how we do. I remember very clearly not being here long ago. At my first service in 2010, I sat before they reconstructed the chapel, like somewhere right over there. And then over there in 2014, when I was classmates with Mr. Speliotis, I see back there. Mr. Speliotis is the man. And it's amazing to see him giving back and giving back to Brooks and working here. He's got a heart of gold, and he was one of the first people who showed me that iron sharpens iron. So yeah, I came to Brooks shy, timid, and scared, trying to figure out what kind of person I wanted to become. When I was applying to high schools, I applied to Phillips Academy, and after visiting Brooks, I withdrew that application. I didn't even think about it. Well, for one, I visited, and who wouldn't want to come here with Coach K, right? So, no, but I didn't even have to think about it. It was the way this place made me feel. Something told me this is where I was supposed to be. And I'm very grateful I listened to my gut and that this was a fact. It was the truth. What made Brooks special to me then is what I can see with more clarity now, and that is the community. The faculty dedicated to serving students, and those who invested in me and all students at Brooks. These people have dedicated their lives to making this community unlike any other, somewhere where really special people go to and come from. A few years ago, a life coach put me through a Find Your Why exercise. He told me to think about my favorite character from a movie or book. And at the time, I didn't really read any books, but don't be like me. Reading is, I found that it's one of life's biggest hacks. But anyway, I did watch a lot of movies, so I named off a bunch of characters. Abe Lincoln from real life, Alexandros from Gates of Fire, the one book I had read at the time. Loudon Swain, the wrestler from Vision Quest, that's from the 70s, so I'm not sure if any of y'all have seen that. It's a great movie. Van Damme from Bloodsport, that's from the 80s. Donnie Darko, Jake Gyllenhaal's best movie from 2001. And even Alan from The Hangover, actually. And my favorite character of all, Johnny Lawrence from Cobra Kai, the greatest show ever made. That's someone who I want to be exactly like when I grow up. And the coach said, Lincoln, Loudon Swain, Johnny Lawrence, those characters? I mean, that's a weird mix, and I won't judge you, but can't you see it now? They're literally you. That's your life. That's your calling. And when I thought about that for a minute, it actually blew my mind. I realized these people all had something in common. They were underdogs, underestimated, and misunderstood. They were anti-bullies, competitors. They weren't like anyone else and illustrated the ultimate comeback story. They served something bigger than themselves, most of them. They turned their weaknesses into strengths, never quit. And I did this exercise as I was leaving the Navy, but it was then that I realized my why was to embrace the process. That is the 99% of climbing the mountain, not the outcome or summiting the mountain, achieving your goal. So the process, so I can continue to influence more people every day and make the world a better place. Get some water here. Don't want that to spill. So today I want to talk to you about service in the context of Veterans Day, which was on November 11th, and how this can hopefully resonate with each and every one of you. I'm here to tell you about people far greater than myself who taught me what it means to live a life of service. People who rewired my brain, literally, and truly changed my perception of the meaning of life. These people were teammates of mine in the U.S. Navy SEAL teams, and they represent what Veterans Day is really about. My commanding officer at SEAL Team 8 was Commander Brian Bourgeois. I knew he was a very special person when I first met him. I was completely lost when I checked into my first real job at 25 years old. And as the most powerful person in the organization, he, with his big smile, immediately made me feel welcomed and made me believe in myself. Booge, as we called him, he was my favorite leader I met in the Navy, one who I could relate to and wanted to be. He was a fellow Naval Academy grad and athlete, just 17 years ahead of me. He was incredibly tough, humble, hilarious, and deeply loyal and caring to everyone who worked for him. He led through his presence, the kind of person who he would show up at 2 a.m. to check on his people, not because he had to, but because he cared so much. He blended strength with humility, and he didn't have to remind anyone that he was the boss. Everyone just knew. And almost all commanding officers don't do any tactical work with the SEALs because they're incredibly busy, like on a computer, going to meetings, traveling, like running a whole team, the whole command. And Booj did all that, but he was an outlier. He was an exception. He would also be the kind of guy who would say, "Screw it, I'll jump in with the guys." So during SEAL Team 8's final pre-deployment exercise, this was in the fall of 21, the most important one out of over 150 of these exercises that we did, something went wrong. Booj decided to lead from the front and jump in with the platoon I ended up deploying with. A terrible fast roping accident during the night operation led to Commander Bourgeois falling from about 40 feet onto a concrete rooftop. Our medics, some of my people I was close with, they did everything humanly possible to save him, and which they did initially, but after several days in the hospital, Commander Bourgeois passed away. A few days later, I was standing hospital watch one night before his body was transported home. I remember that vividly, the silence, the weight, the heavy part of the job I had signed up for, but had never quite fully comprehended until I witnessed it. He was 43 years old, happily married. He had 5 kids. The oldest was a junior in high school at the time. And that's when service, for me, stopped being a word or doing fun, cool things. It became something jarring and real that comes with a cost. Booj could have left the Navy well over a decade before he did. He could be doing whatever he wanted to do. He could be a millionaire consultant or private equity investor right now or whatever, but he chose to keep doing high-risk, low-reward work for others. At his funeral, when we each took our tridents, the gold insignia from our uniforms, and hammered them into the casket, that's when I understood what service truly meant. It's not about glory or recognition. It's about selfless, unwavering love. Love for your people, for your mission, for something bigger than yourself. Commander Bourgeois embodied that, and he will always be the first person I think of when I think of service. Less than a year after this, I was fortunate to deploy to Somalia with a SEAL platoon that had already been through something unimaginable. And I'm not going to go into any harsh details, but I just want to show you what I believe resilience really looks like. 2 years before I deployed, right before I checked into the team, the same group I went to Somalia with was hit by a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device, essentially the largest car bomb that the terrorists can make. And one of my teammates, Chandler, he was only 22 or 23 at the time. When the truck came full speed toward them, he stood his ground, returned fire, protecting the rest of the team, the only operator not entirely behind cover. He was awarded the Silver Star, one of the highest military awards there is. And what was equally profound was what he did afterwards. Chandler survived, barely. It was a miracle he kept his leg and survived. And then less than a year later, he was back, training again, deploying again, refusing to let any fear or pain define him. He could have very easily, instantly medically retired and lived comfortably forever, but he chose to keep serving. And I want to focus even more on Dave, because Dave taught me something even deeper. Dave was 40 years old, married with 2 kids, an enlisted SEAL, one of the most selfless and brilliant people I've ever met. He left the U.S. Air Force Academy to live all over the world, work over 20 jobs, even write a book before joining the Navy. And when that explosion hit, he was standing behind a large armored vehicle, a MATV, like a massive monster truck, like as armored as a tank. And that certainly saved his life. He was very close in proximity, and he would not be here today if he wasn't behind that vehicle. But I got to know Dave very well during deployment. We ate every meal together. We did jujitsu every day. But I started to see that explosion had changed him. He suffered really bad traumatic brain injuries. I would see moments of confusion, headaches, anger, irritability, memory lapses. It's a very, very serious issue now in the military and in special operations, and it's like similar to CTE in the NFL. Like there's a lot of suicides with this. But what stood out to me wasn't what Dave lost. It was how he carried himself anyway. He never complained, never slowed down, never gave up. He made the choice to keep serving others. He wanted nothing more than to lead, to mentor people like me, to give back without any glory or recognition. Dave showed me the true meaning of empathy, bravery, and grit. And when I think of service and never quitting, I think of Dave and Chandler. Deploying with them gave me a new perspective on life, meaning, and courage. My life so far, and meeting people like Commander Bourgeois, Dave, and Chandler, has been nothing short of a series of miracles. These people showed me that everywhere you go in life, you hear noise all the time, but you unknowingly don't see the signals right in front of you, the anomalies that can change your life. These people represent the outliers I am so lucky to have met. The Navy taught me, among many things, that life is about competition, not against others, but against yourself. And it also showed, and among other things, that iron sharpens iron. I learned 3 lessons that have shaped how I live, and I think these apply far beyond the military. The first one is that there is truly no ceiling to what you can do in life. And I know I thought that was like nonsense when people would tell me that before, but I wholeheartedly believe it now. I think, like, if anyone here wants to be a billionaire, you can do it. You can win a Nobel Prize. I'm not even joking. You can invent something that changes the world. I truly believe humans have the capacity to do whatever they want. It just takes, if the obsession is there, the passion, the grit, and the competitive edge. The moments you have at Brooks, how you treat people, how you handle setbacks, how you respond when life gets chaotic, these will build the foundation for your character. Chandler, Dave, and Booj show me that the difference between winning and losing is almost always just not quitting. Number 2 is turn your biggest weakness into your biggest strength. So for years, my biggest challenge was feeling like I didn't belong, like I wasn't good enough. It was a deep fear I carried with me for a long time. I thought becoming a champion wrestler would fix it. It didn't, unfortunately. Becoming a Navy SEAL didn't either. But here's what I learned. It was something beautiful, something not to fix. It was fuel. That fear and feeling I tried for years to overcome. I realized that it became my hidden superpower and drives me every day more than anything. Never give up. Stare down your wolf, your inner wolf. Use your antagonist to your advantage. Turn your biggest weakness into your biggest strength. And the third is find your why, be your own hero, and pay it forward. All humans want to be relevant. We want to feel a sense of belonging. We want to feel human connection. Humans can't survive without it. For me, service by obsessively learning and growing so I can help others is my why. And there's a way to serve for everyone, no matter what path you take. This summer, I volunteered for a week at a men's faith-based fly fishing camp in Montana. I volunteered to coach high school wrestling in Virginia. I realized that life gets infinitely better the less you focus on yourself. The more you serve others, the more meaning you find. Be your own hero. Be the best version of yourself. Pay it forward. Be like John Packard or Alex Kay, who believed in me when I was shy and scared. That's service. That's what this place is built on. They've dedicated their whole lives to helping us. When I think about those 3 lessons, I can trace them straight back here. Brooks was the first, it was where I first learned discipline, teamwork, accountability, and community. It was here that I built connections with my peers that gave me energy and empathy. It was here that I learned to push through things I didn't want to do and to keep showing up no matter what. And many of these same habits carried me through SEAL training, through my time in the Navy, all over the world, and now through everything I've faced since. And another very important thing I hope you can take from this is that you don't need to wear a uniform to live a life of service. You can serve by leading, mentoring, helping someone who's struggling, making any community or team you're a part of better. So find your why. And almost done here. Commander Bourgeois, Dave, and Chandler taught me that service isn't about glory. It's about gratitude. Gratitude for the people beside you and for the truth that life has no ceiling and the freedom in that. Veterans Day is about honoring those who are willing to stand in the fire and about remembering that everyone can choose to serve in their own impactful way. So today, I want to thank you. I want to thank all the veterans. I want to thank everyone here, the families, students who live that example every day. Thank you, Brooks, and thank you especially to the faculty, to serving people like me and teaching me and others the foundation that made me who I am. So I'm going to end with the 3 quotes again. First, the SEAL Teammate motto to honor Commander Bourgeois, that is, fortune favors the bold. My favorite one from Brooks that Mr. Konovalchik would always say to me, character is destiny. And the one that I hope each of you carries with you, and that is be someone special. By each of you being present and listening to me today, my life has gotten better, and I hope you can gain even just a little perspective and positive growth from what I've shared. And that's it. Thanks. Yeah.